this is really an asset, because I'm not spending the money yet. So we'll call this, let's make a new account here. We're going to call this prepaid auto insurance. All right, so what did we say our insurance cost? $1,500. And we've got Allstate. Okay, so we're going to have movement from our credit card to our asset that's called prepaid auto insurance, and we're going to pay $1,500 with our credit card. All right, so now each month we want to show the value of this insurance for that month, so the reports look pretty. So like most software like this, we can do a recurring transaction. So we only have to do this once, and then automatically every month it will add a new entry and move money from this prepaid thing into an expense account. So let's see here. Scheduled transaction. Actually I think there's an easy way to do this. So we have prepaid auto insurance, and we're going to have insurance monthly insurance expense. Do we have auto here? Good, auto. Oh, you know what? I think we'll put it under insurance and auto insurance. All right, good. And one of the things I love about Gnu Cash, since I don't like to do math, we don't have to, so we can simply say 1,500 divided by 6, and like magic, yeah. All right, and now I think if we right-click on this, there's an option to create a scheduled transaction. There we go, schedule. And let's see, we want this to be a monthly transaction, and we want it to occur, since we already put one in, we only want it to occur 5 more times. And it even shows us when it's going to occur over there. So yeah, we click OK. And like magic, now I think we can go up here, schedule transactions, and schedule transaction editor. Here we go. We see that now this transaction will occur, and our reports over the next 6 months will just look fantastic. We'll see, instead of $1,500 this month, we'll see in our expense reports only $250 a month. Yes?
That's not monthly 12 times, that's monthly on the 12th, correct?
Yeah.
Frequency?
Yeah, because
Okay.
today's the 12th, yeah. And I did this for Florida. I mean, in the state, can you even buy an annual policy here? I don't think so.
Also, you can allow the biannual.
Yeah, I think everyone does biannual. I think it's some kind of,
A
no?
couple companies don't.
Companies don't do?
A couple companies do not do.
Oh, they do the whole year.
No, they'll do monthly, maybe quarterly. It depends on the company though.
Yeah, but the policy
I got a buddy who
itself.
decided to bump into the back of a Beamer, and luckily he paid up front, and it didn't bump his insurance up that much.
Oh, good for him.
It was a small bump.
Hmm.
He had a vanity plate which had a screw sticking in it.
All right. So, yeah, like I said before, Gnu Cash will also do all of your stocks and bonds if you want to track that kind of thing. Look, I mean, obviously, as you can see, this is not super easy to use software. It is full-blown accounting software. There is a learning curve, but at the end of the day, you might find that useful, and that you'll actually know stuff about accounting. Or if you haven't done your accounting 101 in years, well, great practice here with Gnu Cash. Plus, like I said, that whole transcendence thing, having actual accuracy with your personal finances, and then at the end of the month scratching your head wondering, is all of this time I'm investing in this really worth it? Well, you'll have to decide that.
You could actually run a business with this.
Yeah, people do, and there are functions for that, sure, yeah.
Can you show us an example of reconciliation?
You know, thanks. You know, actually, I was toying with the notion of getting some bank statements and redacting them and going through a reconciliation sample.
Well, just pretend you have one of your bank statements in your hand and you just reconcile the code.
All right, we'll give it a whirl.
How do I reconcile?
You charge on this card.
That's right. All right, so here we have our credit card account. Of course, I mean, you know, many people have multiple credit cards. It's easy to rename the accounts and that kind of thing. All right, so at the end of the month, yeah, you'll get your statement, and you click the reconcile button there, and presumably your statement will be for, well, I guess the statement is for today, but whatever it says on your statement, you put it there, and whatever the closing balance is, you put it there. And basically all you do is you look at your credit card statement, and if it's listed on the statement, you check it off. And presumably when you're done, the difference should be zero. And if it's not, well, you know, when it's my Amex statement and I have 150 transactions on it or something like that, well, then you get to get a taste of real accounting. It's great.
You'll get your bank statement several days after it was issued, which only has things up to that date, which means anything after that date still isn't reconcilable.
Exactly. Well, then you won't check it off.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
your balance or difference should be a little higher than.
no, the difference at the end. Look, if you notice here, depending on what's checked, the difference on the bottom changes.
Yes.
Yes. So there will be when it's properly reconciled, the difference will be zero.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And if it's not, then you missed something, or one of the values was different, or something. One thing that I find particularly challenging these days in the real world is Amazon, because you know, I don't want to get Amazon Prime because I'm afraid if I do that I'll spend more money, so I don't. And I queue up things in my Amazon wish list that I want until I get $35 at least, and that's when I pounce. So usually my Amazon orders will have several things in them, and of course I select free shipping and ship it the cheapest way possible and as few shipments as possible. Well, Amazon almost never does that. You know, if I order 4 things in an order, they'll be in 3 different boxes, and Amazon doesn't bill you until it's shipping out of their warehouse. So there'll be 3 different items on my credit card, but Gnu Cash only had 1 item from the time I made the purchase. So now I've got to try to sort this out and figure it out. I was thinking about this today on my morning walk, and I was saying, you know what? Gnu Cash can solve this problem. So instead of just doing a simple transaction from my credit card account in Gnu Cash to my expense, whatever kind of expenses they are. Oh, by the way, I didn't show. It's easy to do. Well, you know, each transaction has to touch 2 different things. Here, let's finish reconciliation. Bam. Well, each transaction has to touch 2 different things. So let's see. We're going to buy some. You know what? Let's buy from Amazon. So we're buying from Amazon. We're buying some books. But, you know, this is a big shipment. We're going to spend $70. You know, it has to touch 2 accounts, but of course, it can also touch 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 accounts. So we can have $20 or $40 in books and another $30 in, let's see, what do we buy from Gifts, there we go. Yep, so, yeah, split transactions, great. So, presumably my Amazon order is probably gonna be a split transaction like this normally, right now. I do something like this, a movement from my credit card into multiple expense accounts. What I could do instead is, instead of having the credit card account here, I could make a new liability account that's specifically for Amazon. And I'm committing to the purchase right now, but I'm not putting anything on my credit card. So then what I'll do later on is I'll go look at Amazon's web interface and figure out how Amazon ended up billing it, and then do individual transactions from my credit card to that Amazon liability account. So I'll be moving money, I'll be reducing the value of the Amazon liability account and putting the money on my credit card where it ultimately belongs in this transaction. So now at the end of the month, my credit card statement has exactly the stuff, the way that Amazon billed it, and at the same time, all of my reports still show me spending the money when I place the order. So, you know, when I'm actually committing. Yes, you can cancel an Amazon order, but that's kind of complicated.
So in this situation here, each one of those split portions of your payment there will be separate line items in when you're doing the reconciliation?
Well, I'm going to be I'm not going to be reconciling these expense accounts. I'm going to be reconciling the liability credit card account. And in this particular example, it would only show as one $70 item in a perfect world. As we know, Amazon...
So you're not reconciling individually the different sections of it?
Reconciliation is only for a specific account, and not for...
I'm just saying, in this situation, you have a credit card, right? You've paid for two different things at Amazon. They come in separately. You can reconcile one, but the other one hasn't arrived yet.
Oh, okay. So yes, you're talking about doing...
Just from Amazon itself.
Yeah, you're talking about actually doing inventory.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, more or less. Gnu Cash isn't really an inventory accounting system. You could kind of...
You can, but, yeah.
Yeah. And that would be kind of complicated with the dollar amount. That's a different beast entirely. That's like an ERP kind of...
One of the reasons I started using Gnu Cash some odd years ago is that it had the ability where, so you go to the grocery store, you could actually take your receipt and itemize everything on your receipt into Gnu Cash.
Yes. I don't do that. Because, you know, there is the law of diminishing returns. I only do that if it's a big expense, but the rest of the time, frankly, what I do is I just wing it. I have expense categories called like drugstore, where if I bought it at a drugstore, it goes in the expense drugstore category because life is short. And I just, that detail beyond that I didn't find terribly useful.
Petty cash?
Huh?
Petty cash?
Well, that's what cash and wallet is for in this particular example. You know, I mean, you could have another account in Gnu Cash for your stash between your mattresses, if you have one of those.
But then why would you want to document it, right?
Good
Well,
point.
it's free on.
Well, preferably this is secret.
Exactly.
How does the investment aspect work of it with common stocks and mutual funds?
It has full integration. You can pull real-time or relatively real-time values for commodities, and it will update, you know, show you relatively current valuations on your assets. As we see here, you know, those transactions are more complicated because, like I was saying before, each transaction involves not only an amount, but also, you know, in this case, instead of money, it would be shares, but also the value of the share if it's moving from a a dollar account. So, you know, there's that additional piece of information when that particular transaction occurred.
Gotcha.
Which, by the way, makes, if you're trying to keep track of your 401k, this is kind of complicated, because finding that particular piece of information, what that, you know, I mean, your 401k, you're probably contributing the same dollar amount every pay period, but the valuation of the various stocks you're buying changes every pay period, and finding that particular piece of information is kind of a pain. So I kind of wonder if it's even worth it. To answer your question earlier, Sam, about reconciliation. So if we look at this transaction here where we reconciled this item, Allstate, if I click on split transaction so we can see the details, if we look here, here's the payment on the credit card account, and we have over here the movement into the asset account. Here's the reconcile column, and because we reconciled the credit card statement on this transaction, there's a Y here, but we didn't reconcile the prepaid auto insurance account. Really, the only time
That would happen when they give you a receipt.
I mean, trying to reconcile that account, this is for your own personal use, the prepaid auto insurance account. So you would have to make up your own statement in order to reconcile it.
Really, I see what you're doing with that. Okay.
Really, the reconciliation feature is really only to ensure that you and another party are on the same page. The only time you're going to see transactions that have reconciliations on both ends are going to be like a transaction where you're paying your credit card bill. Because presumably your credit card bill is being paid by a checking account, and you're going to do reconciliation on your checking account, and you're going to do reconciliation on your credit card account. So that particular transaction, you'll see reconciliation on both ends, but you know, that's the only time you're going to see that kind of thing, is with two different banking institutions.
Anytime your money's not in your pocket, you can reconcile.
All right. Any other questions here?
Is there any good like import features for if you download the CSV from your online banking?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll do QIF or QFX.
And so like if I categorize the expenses then from there, will it then like automatically, if it's from the same vendor, categorize it the same way the next time I import a statement?
I
Or can
believe.
you set up rules like that?
No, you have to go and fiddle with it a little bit.
Okay.
I always have to.
All right, there's your answer. Yeah, I don't use
All right.
that functionality. There are
I'm
also.
lazy, I don't want to put it in all the time, so I export it from the banking institution, import it in, and then make it match what I'm doing.
So, but you're using there's a GNU Cash Android app, and you're using.
Yeah, I'm using that too. I'm actually got two different accounts running. I have a checking account that I'm keeping separate
Uh-huh.
on the laptop.
Oh,
Then-
I see. So you're
So cash, then hand, I'm using it on my phone.
Oh,
And that's pretty decent now. It
Yeah.
was pretty crappy at first.
yes, that's a totally unrelated piece of software besides the name, the GNU Cash Android app. It was created by people kind of affiliated with the GNU Cash project, but yeah, a totally different code base, totally different functionality set. I guess it's doing double entry. It looks like it.
It looks like it now. Before it was just almost a single account that you couldn't add anything to.
Yeah, and I think the functionality, the way it's supposed to work, and I'm not using it for this, but the way it's supposed to work is you're supposed to be able to, you know, on the road, enter your transactions, and then export a QFX file or QIF file, whatever it's called, and then import it into your desktop GNU Cash program. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to work. I'm not doing this, people are. I am saving all of my receipts and manually entering them like a crazy man. Yeah, any additional questions here?
Is it available for Windows?
Yes, it's cross-platform. I think it's available on Mac OS.
Yeah, actually, one time I think I had a file on my Windows machine and pointing to it from Linux. I was able to enter the stuff in there and on the Windows machine too. I haven't done it that way in a long time, so trying to get my wife involved. So.
Now, you probably want to run, save this into its own directory. I do it under version control. It kind of makes a mess in the directory you run it in, because what it's doing is it will, I think it's the default behavior, it will save multiple copies of the file. And instead of overwriting the same file, it will, I guess, rename the old one and create a new one. Yeah.
Almost like log rotate.
Yeah, kind of like log rotate. And you can actually go and open up the older ones. They're full-blown GNU Cash
Saves
files.
you a couple of times.
Exactly. Either if you screw up or if the power screws up at the wrong time, yeah, it saves your rear end. It's nice. Look, there's lots of functionality I haven't even touched on tonight. It's really well documented, and there's a helpful community. I haven't been in there in years, but last time I hopped into the IRC channel, it was very helpful. Great community. Thank you.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Now I see why that's recording.
Yeah, I can possibly say that. I don't know. About midnight I'll wake up, and I won't be able to sleep till 3.
Huh.
Go figure. I think it's the meds. I do. I think the doctor's trying to kill me.
Oh, that's stray radiation.
Sunspots.
So that's it. Turn it off now. Ooh. Oh.
Oh man, I'm gonna start using that.